When I'm not demanding answers from the writers about what's going on here, I'm like a little jade gremlin writing down all my thoughts and theories on what's going on. And with that insane ending, a new room in the root cellar, and someone sticking up to Boyd, there certainly is a lot to talk about. If you're new to these videos, this isn't a recap but a detailed dive into the show's biggest questions. I've left timestamps below so you can see all the topics I'll be covering. Now make sure to like and subscribe. My medication for obsessing over this show isn't going to pay for itself. It's the question everyone is wanting answered. What the hell is going on with Fatima and that killer ending? Last episode, her ultrasound showed that she was never with child. However, she is certain that something is growing inside her. In a town that has creepy people talking on wireless telephones, electricity coming from nowhere, and jukeboxes that turn on at the worst moments, it's not too much of a stretch to think that this ultrasound may be manipulated. So Fatima's struggle this episode has more to do with whether she's crazy or not. As Christy says, she may be experiencing a psychosomatic pregnancy, a rare condition where the body believes it's pregnant but actually isn't. As Marielle states, weirder things have happened to people's bodies here. Boyd had those worms, people heal quickly, and Sarah saw "kill the boy" carved on her forearm. Whatever is happening, Fatima still feels like she is pregnant, and this pregnancy is accompanied by fits of anger. Marielle offers to spend the night taking care of Fatima at Colony House, even hooking her up to a fancy new IV from the newly acquired ambulance. If you've seen my previous videos, you'll know I find Marielle's relationship with Fatima a bit suspicious. She was the one who gave Fatima that mystery medicine. After Fatima started taking it, those cravings began. We can actually see this medicine in the background of this close-up of her dresser. Marielle, being one of the 3 victims of the evil entity, could mean something has a hold of her. She tells Fatima that she can sometimes feel those bugs crawling inside her. Randall was also concerned that whatever had a hold of them may not be done. Something certainly is making Randall see those cicadas. Now Fatima is certain there is something inside her. She tells Ellis her stomach has been getting bigger and her cravings stronger. This has also made her extremely irritable, and I would be too if all I had to eat was garbage. Regardless, this whole situation makes Ellis feel helpless, but luckily there's someone who's willing to help. Tillie and Fatima have bonded over the last few episodes, and now she's extending her help to Ellis, stating this sudden interest in them is because she, quote, likes a good love story. But I think Tillie knew she was going to die, and this was all an elaborate setup for what's to transpire. Tillie even foreshadows her death, stating,
"None of us get to stay forever."
She even tells Ellis that dying might be the beginning or middle of a grand adventure, not the end. Donna even expresses her apprehensiveness of having someone as unhinged as Fatima in Colony House. All it takes is one person to snap and put the lives of everyone in there in jeopardy, as we saw in Season 1. She wants Fatima and Ellis to find new accommodation, and it looks like her wish will come early. We also get this absolutely terrifying moment where Fatima is writhing in pain. Unfortunately, as soon as Ellis arrives, it goes away. So is this real or in her head? Now let's talk about this ending and where I think the story is going. There's always the chance Tillie survives, but I tend to think the show is going to have her die. It's precisely her own death that Tillie wants. As I said, I think she knew this was going to happen. It makes this line from Season 2 where she gives up her liquid morphine all the more prophetic.
I figure that by the time I need that, I probably won't be in any shape to...
When she's stabbed, she doesn't say anything like "get help" or "how could you do this," but instead the words "you have to run." I think this is all a setup to get Ellis and Fatima to run into a faraway tree. This was telegraphed during the heated town hall meeting where both Fatima and Ellis were gung-ho about going into one of these trees to help their baby. That was before Dale met his untimely demise. With the murder of Tillie, I would not be surprised if Fatima and Ellis decide to take a chance and run into one of those trees. To make a long story short, I think something or someone was guiding Tillie to her own death. It was the same thing that guided her using the tarot cards to reach this town. It's no coincidence that Jade brings up this idea of fate. It was likely fate that led Tillie to her death, just like it was fate that brought Tabitha to these stones. That still leaves the question whether Tillie is being led by a good or evil force. Judging by whatever has a hold over Fatima, it would be logical to think it's malevolent. I also want to briefly bring up these antipsychotics. I found it interesting interesting the camera lingers on them so we can get a good view of who they were prescribed to, an M. Thompson. As far as I know, there is no one with the last name Thompson, but there are two characters whose last names have yet to be revealed. That's Tillie and Acosta. Tillie is short for Matilda, so maybe these belong to her. One of my favorite plot lines this episode is Elgin's quest to the root cellar. It's kind of tragic that we begin with him having crafted his own mobile for Fatima's baby, something he plans to give her as a gift. Fatima without child and likely on the run next episode, who knows if we'll ever see it. Elgin's camera goes off on its own, although we can't be certain. It's kind of implied that the picture that comes out is that of the root cellar. Perhaps this is the kimono woman's way of guiding him where he's supposed to go next. This is the same root cellar that Victor used to survive the massacre way back in the 70s, where Jade saw the man crushed by a boulder, and where Julie appeared after going through a faraway tree the night of the Colony House massacre. But there's something everyone has missed. The cellar is composed of a main room and a small door which leads to a wardrobe. We've seen all this before, but it's only after Elgin hears a knock coming from behind the wardrobe that he uncovers a small red door. This leads to a small bedroom with items that appear to date back to the 1800s or even earlier. There's just one thing out of place: the cadaver of someone wearing clothes from either the 1970s or beyond. The shirt, blue jeans, and running shoes hint at a different era than the furniture of this room. The fact a blanket has been placed over this corpse indicates that this person was more than likely put there, either stored or hidden. Now this is where things get really interesting. Elgin asks the kimono woman,
"Is this really where it happens?"
All we really know is that the kimono woman wants Elgin's help. For what? We don't know. If something happened here, could it be her murder or some event that turned her into a ghost in the first place? And what connection, if any, does the corpse have with the kimono woman? Last episode had the shocking revelation that, like Miranda before her, Tabitha had dreamt of this place long before setting foot in it. So she's shown up with Jade and Ethan to the old settlement where Jim collects produce for the townsfolk back home. Tabitha has come in search of answers, and Jim can't help but think she so desperately wants things to make sense that she may be making all this stuff up. Between her and Fatima, there's a whole lot of people not believing them. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of new information we get here. Tabitha tells us she had this tremendous amount of fear and hid behind this rock. Whatever was making everyone scream was on the other side, but she always woke up before seeing what was after her. In the last episode, I noticed that this takes place during daytime, meaning it's probably not one of our monsters. You may also recall this woman telling Jim about the strange noises they heard in the cabins while staying overnight. She remarks how they sounded different than the monsters outside town. I wonder if whatever chased Tabitha in her dreams is connected to this mystery entity, a thing both Jim, Kenny, Christy, and Jade have heard while at night while staying here. Victor spends much of this episode trying to get Jasper to talk. He's brought him up to his room, but nothing seems to be working. Henry is absolutely concerned for his son, who he sees trying to endeavor in the futile attempt at communicating with an inanimate doll. I mean, if I saw this, I'd resort to drinking too. There have been slight clues that may indicate Henry is an alcoholic. We see him searching for alcohol in this episode, chug some booze with Donna, and in 301 is seen carrying a six-pack. This is likely to stem the pain of losing his family. He'll even disclose to Donna that for a second he wished he had never come here because it was easier when he thought Victor was dead. Speaking of Victor, he brings Jasper over to Sarah's. Victor has always said basements are meant for secrets, so maybe that's what Jasper will need to finally speak. Will Victor have to show Jasper those items he collected from the dead all those years ago? I think it might actually take something more. Jasper has only really appeared to Jade, and Jade has a connection with Jasper's former owner, Christopher, so I'm interested to see if they'll be able to get this dummy to talk like it did decades ago. The stress of the town really gets to Boyd. His fight with Christy about finding a solution to his daughter-in-law's child was, in my opinion, a bit overboard. We saw him blow up to Acosta in episode 305, and that rift continues to grow when Acosta demands her gun back. She's been snooping around the sheriff's office, and I do think Boyd is justified in taking away her gun. I mean, she literally shot and killed Nikki, who we can assume was the grave she visited prior. I do like the idea of having a foil to Boyd, someone who considers herself a real cop and not a fake like him. Boyd will compromise and give Acosta her gun back, but she'll have to earn the bullets. Check out this look she gives the hole in the wall where the guns and ammunition are stored as she makes her way out. I would not be surprised if she goes against Boyd's orders and finds herself back in the station looking for that ammo. Acosta wonders why so many people seem to have given up asking questions about this place, and Kenny is pretty pessimistic, stating that one day she'll give up too. There isn't a question or theory anyone hasn't already thought of. Defiant, Acosta doesn't plan on getting comfortable, she wants answers, but just as she storms off, the jukebox plays the 1970s hit Oh Child by the Five Stairsteps. If you listen to the lyrics, this is a song about hope and holding on through the tough times because better days are ahead. In the past, we've seen malevolent forces take control of the jukebox, like how it played Celebration shortly after Kenny's mother died. This affirms the theory that there are two major forces or entities at play in this town, one good and one bad, and they are both vying for control. Am I crazy, or is Julie a little bit into our bad boy, Randall? She goes out of her way to join him on his quest to acquire chaga mushrooms for their holistic properties, but when Randall finds out she never got her license, the two of them go on a bit of a joyride. It seems as though Randall is the only one of the three possessed by that entity that continues to have hallucinations about these insects. Julie cannot see them. They are led to the dungeon ruins where they were held captive in season 2. Julie says she can feel something here while Randall denies it, but it very much looks as though he's lying. Is some sort of force pushing them towards this place? It looks as though From will be reeling from another death in next week's episode, but what do you think will happen? I want to hear your thoughts and theories in the comments below. Thanks for watching, be sure to like and subscribe, and for more bad takes, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at BigStoryYT. Until next time, remember, Daddy loves you very much.